I'm very careful who I spend my time with, and I don't care what people think about me either.
Yeah.
I even care less now. Whereas 10 years ago, I used to sit there worrying about what people thought about me, and I said this 5 years ago. Wow, you're not even bothered about it now. And I'm sure the closer I get to 50, I'll give less of a shit.
Hi, Iain.
Hi, Leah.
Welcome to the HoLT Survival Guide for Small Businesses.
Well, thank you for having me along.
It's really nice to see you again. And I think today's going to be an interesting episode because you own a party marquee company.
Yeah, so the party tent company, yeah.
The party tent company.
So, yeah, I started that business in 2011.
But you've only been franchising it, and that's why I've invited you on today.
So the original business I started in 2011, and it was a bit of a side business, to be honest with you. I was just doing it on the weekends, and it quickly exploded.
Why do you think it exploded?
I don't know. I made many different logos and sort of brand colours and stuff like that. And then when I showed the logo and stuff like that to friends and family, they were like, that one, go with that one. Didn't even have a website. Just put an ad on yell.com at the time.
Oh, really? That's
Didn't
simple.
even have a website, and I was getting orders straight away. So the revenue that I got in off that, because I had a job at the time, just got a website built, and then it just kept going from there. And I don't know, I just think the public took to it. The service as well that we were providing. I'm big on customer service,
and a very clever name. You've gone with the SEO, right? The party tent company.
Yeah.
It just says what it does.
Yeah. So like my job at the time was working for Auto Trader. So I was going around all sort of independent car garages, teaching them how to advertise their cars and talking to them about websites, and SEO had just come out and we were all trained on SEO websites and stuff. So I took some of that knowledge that I'd learned in my day job and pumped it into my own business. And, I was going around some of these car garages with guys in sheepskin coats and flat caps.
Del boys.
And they were still advertising in the magazine, the Auto Trader magazine. I was like, you need to put your money into the internet. That's where it is. And some of them just wouldn't have it. I was like, have you got one of these in your pocket? Produced a mobile phone? And they were like, yeah. And I went, well, that's where everyone's looking for cars these days. They don't look in the magazine anymore. Auto Trader just kept the magazine. It was losing money just for the shelf position in the supermarket. So people spot it and go, I know, I have to go on the Auto Trader magazine later on. So it was like I was teaching these guys how to market their business. So I was using that knowledge then to do my own.
So you must have been run ragged if you were that busy and having a full-time job as well. But going forward a little bit, how many years ago, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago, you started thinking about scaling with a franchise model?
Yeah, so, well, it was it became obvious pretty early on. So, 2012, 2013, because my hire business that I was based in Warrington blew up on social media. So, you've got people's friends and families were seeing that they were having marquees offers and they were liking the page or engaging with my Facebook or Instagram.
And organic reach was much higher on Facebook back then.
Yeah. So I was getting people from like Edinburgh, Swansea, London, Bournemouth, ringing me up in Warrington saying, can you come and put a marquee up for us on such and such a date? I'm like, well, you're 400 miles away. So that's when it started to click that the business could be franchised, although at that point I didn't know anything about it. What happened was there was a guy, and I've actually spoke to the guy recently. His name's Bernie Harris. He lives in Stockport, and he'd just sold his business. He made neon signs of some description, imported them over. He'd sold his business and retired. Did a marquee for him in his garden. When we were taking it down on the Sunday or the Monday or whatever, he said, Iain, have you ever thought of franchising this business? And I went, I have thought about it. I don't really know much about it. He said, you should do it. So I just went away and started. So I did that. And then that was in 2019. So I messaged him last year. So what's that, 5 years later?
Yeah.
Said, oh, hi Bernie, you probably don't remember me. I did a marquee for you 5 years ago. And he was like, yeah. And I said, well, you told me to franchise my business and I have done. Just want to say thank you, because it was you who put that idea in my head.
What a lovely thing to do, to actually reach back and say thank you.
It was 6 years. So I've got 6 franchisees now.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, well, when you get to 10, come and see me. I'm going to buy you dinner. And so that's how it's, like this guy who was just my customer. And we follow each other on socials and stuff now as well and stay in touch. So yeah, he's a pretty cool guy, Bernie. Yeah. So.
But it was sort of 8 years between starting and actually getting going with the franchising.
Well, I think when you franchise your business, you can't do it too soon, because you've got to prove that model actually works. So the longer that you do it, the better, because you can provide the profit and loss. You can provide all the statistics and insights on social media and SEO. The problem you've got there's many problems when you franchise your business, but one of the main problems is you've got this original branch is doing particularly well. What's to say that will or will not do well in another part of the country? So your first franchisees are beta testers, and to get someone to believe in something that isn't proven yet
that you're not quite sure about yet.
That's the difficult part. Yeah.
So what, in your experience now, so you're up to 7 sites, you've got 6 franchisees. What makes a good business to be franchised? Because this is something people have talked about with me, with the community that I run.
Yeah.
But at the moment, my community draws people in mostly because they're aware of me and my brand. Yeah. And that's then sort of filtered down into the people that are then members that are marketing it for me. And it's been floated to me that franchising would be a good idea. I don't personally think it would be with my business the way it is. Certainly not at the moment, but I'm interested in your perspective on what kind of businesses you see doing really well as franchise models.
Any business could be franchised potentially. What you've got to think of, is it a bricks and mortar? So like your Subways, your McDonald's, things like that. So you've got your bricks and mortar, and then you've got your service-based businesses, which are like mine, or I don't know. You may see Green Thumb about a bit. They're quite a substantial one that do gardening services. You see their vans dotting around everywhere. Dents Away, which is mobile car detailing and stuff like that. So with the HoLT, I don't know how that would sort of be franchised, because you can sort of get the coverage for the whole of the UK on your own.
I think the more sort of like local networking side of things. So you have a London HoLT where they do in-person networking and co-working and support, and then all over the country.
Yeah, well, there's actually one called Real 5 that started in Warrington. It's a networking event, and they franchised, and I don't know how they're doing, but they seem to have a few dotted around. I know they've just recently opened Bolton, because I was invited to go along and I couldn't make it at the time, but any business can. What you need is to be able to prove that it works via your profit and loss. The franchisee's got to see that they're going to be able to make something out of it, and it's got to be enjoyable for the person who's buying into it as well.
And how have you, like when you first decided to start the steps towards getting yourself set up as a franchise? Yeah. What were the things that you were most afraid of? Like, what in your head, what were the things that were hard to overcome?
Well, being a massive empath, my biggest fear was somebody investing their time and money into it and then it not being a success. Right. To see someone fail.
So you're afraid for them rather than it would be expensive and...
Yeah, well, it's not. Yeah, because it's not my livelihood, is it? You know, if somebody's making a decision to, they might not leave the job straight away. They might sort of be doing this as doing it as a part-time business, which we encourage people to do to start off with, because people have got bills to pay at the same time. You know, you're asking someone to change the lifestyle for a period of at least 5 years, and if somebody does that for maybe a couple of years and it doesn't quite work out for them, through no fault of their own, that was my biggest fear. You know. With hindsight now, looking back, I've got all of them have have done well, and they've all worked. So it's been.
What do you think has been the reason that they've done well?
Support in any franchise,
and that's from you.
From any good franchisor, it's support. That's what they're paying you for.
And what do you think that they needed support on most?
Well, any franchisee that comes to the table when you recruit them, they're going to have transferable skills. So, for example, I've got a guy who came and he's pretty savvy with social media and stuff like that, but he setting up a marquee was alien to him because he'd came from a corporate background. So we had to work more on the practical side of things with him. Whereas then you've got I've had people. One of my other franchisees is a husband and wife partnership. The husband of that partnership was a mechanic in a previous career, so he was pretty hands-on. So when it came to putting marquees up, it was like show him once and it's done. Yeah. Whereas they'd never done social media before, so they needed a little bit more. So it's about getting what skills they've already got, where we can transfer them over into what we're going to be doing, and where the shortfalls are ultimately. So then we can work on those.
And do you train them in all of that yourself?
Yeah.
So you feel like you're competent enough in all of the different areas of your business that you can now fully train each of the franchise. And that's pretty impressive. Like you're not bringing in any external services to support them or anything like that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So like when we do the sort of marketing side of things, I've got an SEO expert who does all that side of things for them, and then we do some PPC as well. So we've got people that we bring in to do that. So it's not like I do absolutely everything, but with the organic posting, and I already know what works and what doesn't, and that's all part of the process when we first onboard somebody.
So what do you actually? Because I'm just one of the reasons that I thought it would be interesting to have this conversation is because we don't really hear people talking about franchising that much, and it is actually. The hardest thing as a solo business owner or a small business owner is thinking, how am I going to scale? When you're the one that does all of the business, when you're wearing all of the hats and you are the sort of the key part of the business, it's, well, how do I scale? And you've done it very successfully with franchising, and it's clear that there's a really strong future to take it even further. But it's scary. I'm seeing my initial reaction would be, well, what if they damage my brand? What if I franchise to the wrong person and they do something that could be really detrimental to my brand? But I suppose with your brand as the party tent company, no one knows you in Warrington if they're doing one in Portsmouth.
No, well, and also as well, you monitor the situation through your support as well. So you audit them regularly of what's going on and what they're doing. So, and the way that franchising works is that it's one limited company in partnership with another, and what in between that is what's called a franchise agreement.
Right.
And the franchise agreement lays out the obligations of both parties, but it's heavily loaded towards the franchisee, meeting their obligations. So if there's something that they don't do during the whole process, it will be laid out in the franchise agreement and the operations manual, which is like the Bible of the business. The franchise agreement usually points towards the operations manual, which is it's all the systems and processes that they have to follow to be successful.
And what do you think, because it sounds like there's quite a range of people that take up franchising for you. What do you think attracts people to the idea of getting involved with a franchise?
Well, it's minimal risk, isn't it? So if you're, a lot of my franchisees, and they won't mind me saying it, they're entering middle age, as I am, know, and
I think we're past that.
Yeah. So what you find is that they've usually always wanted to start a business in one way, shape, or form. Life has got in the way, and they've just been working, as we all have. We've all got bills to pay, and maybe children growing up and stuff like that. And I think franchising offers a solution that minimises the risk. So there's a stat on the BFA website, and it's something along the lines that 80% of startups fail within the first 5 years. I think that's it.
I've heard that scary one.
The other way round with franchising. So it's the numbers are flipped the other way. So 80% of franchises are still trading after 5 years, and only 20% have failed.
Has it surprised you the type of people? As in, like you said, there was someone from a corporate background, you've got a mechanic. Yeah. That's quite a big disparity.
Yeah, and it's, do you know what? It's not like, it's not, you don't sort of judge on what they're doing, you know, when they're coming on board. It's obviously you do your drill down questions. Why do you want to do this? Why have you chosen us? What interests you about this, and things like that. And usually it's that they've been stuck in a rut with their career and they just want to change. They want to do something where they're hands-on, and they are running their own business, of course. It's their business, but they've got that arm around the shoulder as well. You know, like we've just taken a new franchisee on a couple of months ago, and this morning we were just talking about him buying some new equipment. He was asking for advice on that, and you know, I welcome that. You know, even if it's something daft, there's no sort of silly questions with it. Ring me, and that's, like I said earlier when we were talking, that my job is to support them every step of the way, and any good franchisor will do that.
And are you still really hands-on in your own part of this business?
So I still run the Warrington branch, yeah.
How do you find the time to still be so hands on the tools, but also provide the support to 6 other franchises?
Well, it's at the moment it's sort of I'm getting to a point where it's going to have to be one or the other. It's like when you start your own business and you're in employment, it's when do you take that leap?
So is that finding somebody else to provide the advice, or finding somebody else to run the Warrington branch?
The Warrington branch will be sold as a franchise,
right? So then you are literally in a supportive role.
It's just a case of finding the right person for Warrington, waiting for an inquiry to come along. And also as well, Warrington is going to demand a higher fee because it's already a running up and going concern. So,
and it's your flagship one,
yeah,
right?
That's it. Yeah. So like I say, I'm kind of getting to the point where during the summertime, I do send the lads out a little bit more than me going out all the time and things like that. But yeah, I always sort of refer it back to when I actually started the Warrington branch and I was still in employment, and it was like a sort of, right, when do I take this leap? And I'm kind of getting to that point now. And in fact, yesterday I was discussing it with my franchise consultant, Richard, my advisor, of when that's going to happen and what that's going to look like. So we were already having that conversation for this year as well. Yeah, so it's a bit scary, but
so you, for 8 years, you ran the business yourself, pretty much on the side, and then as a full-time job. Yeah. Then you franchised it. Yeah. What did you notice as a business owner? What was the biggest shift you had to make in your life and like mentally to move into that franchising? Because I'd imagine there are some sort of like confidence, mindset shifts, because you're going from just you relying on yourself to actually having to constantly think about somebody else and what they're doing with their business.
Well, you know, I always say this, I am an expert in marquee hire because I've done it for so long, but I wasn't an expert in franchising. So I had to learn, and I had to learn quickly, and I took some wrong advice and wasted quite a bit of money. And
what was the wrong advice?
Around legalities, there's a lot of people, you know yourself, there's a lot of people who claim to be business coaches and stuff like that online. Yes. And sometimes they don't
live up to that.
No, and they probably never run a business themselves, some of them. I took some advice. Some of it was all right, some of it was, but I wasted a bit of time and money as well at that point. And yeah, I think what I did pretty quickly was I surrounded myself with other franchisors. So I became friends with a lady called Sharon Corley, who runs an after-school tuition franchise. She was in Warrington, so we could meet up quite regularly. Another guy, Ryan Armitage, he runs.
I know Ryan.
Yeah. So Ryan's a pretty cool guy. He was always on hand to offer advice and support. And yeah, so I just surrounded myself with those type of people. So whenever any problems came up, I could just text Ryan or give Sharon a call and say,
sort of errors.
And I think that's important. Yeah.
Running your own business takes courage, dedication, and hard work. That's why over 100,000 small businesses and freelancers count on Kudos to protect what matters most. Kudos understands that your business is more than just your work. It's your passion, your livelihood, and your future. Their policies and award-winning service are designed to give you complete peace of mind so you can focus on what you do best, running your business. Head to kudoscontractor.com to learn more and use code LEA10 at checkout to get 10% off your first policy, subject to eligibility. And you also had like a very young family at the time when you started. And I mean, we've known each other for what, 5 years?
Maybe 6 years, yeah.
Be about 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years, yeah.
So we've known each other that most of that time, and you know, your kids are older now and more mature. But I imagine that trying to juggle all of that while you're franchising must have been a lot for you mentally to deal with. You've got this successful business, really in demand. You've now got franchisers depending on you.
Yeah.
You've also got 3 young children depending on you.
Yeah.
Like, how did you, or what did you do to help yourself get through that? Because, you know, one business is to keep running with a young family is a lot. One business plus other people's that you're now responsible to help them, and the 3 children.
Yeah.
That's a huge amount of pressure on your shoulders.
Yeah.
How did you get through that?
Well, it's with great difficulty. It's a balancing act, isn't it? And you know, probably by my own admissions, that during the summer months, especially when you know marquee hire is quite seasonal, probably wasn't around as much as should have been in the summertime. But then I'd make up for it during the winter months. Yeah. It's difficult. It's difficult running a business, though, isn't it? You know,
it's mentally, I feel like it's harder than, you know, like I can work all night long. I can keep going and going and going. But the mental burnout when you sort of hit that breaking point. Yeah. Because it's not just a couple of days. It's like your brain just doesn't feel like it turns on at all for potentially weeks on end, if not longer.
That happens to me every October. So it's like
at the end of the summer season.
End of the summer season, I'm just.
Is that part of your decision to try and offload Warrington and sell that?
Yeah. Look, you know, the dream is to be a franchisor with 40, maybe 50 franchises.
Wow.
Trading and everybody happy and just just managing the franchise with a couple of franchise managers and having a nice office. I was going to say that's 40 or 50 on your own. Is going to be a lot. So that's the plan, and you know, there's no reason why we can't do that. It's just the thing is with franchising, it's a long haul. If you take too many franchisees on at once, you're not going to be able to give them the level of support that they need.
So, is there like a time frame in your sort of planning between each franchise? Do you sort of take one on and then give it really. 6 months? Or?
You know, anyone in there's a lot of liars in franchising, but anyone in franchising.
Go on, say who.
I won't say who. Well, a lot of franchisors will say that they've never had a franchise fail and it'll be masked around some other excuse, but we all know that they've had a franchise that failed. So that's one lie. Last year, especially, recruitment was slow across the whole of the franchising industry, and the reason was that we've got all these people in Westminster and all the people and the news, the media, scaremongering, cost of living crisis, fuel going off, wars, also. So usually when there's some sort of economic downturn like that, people tend to stick with what they're doing because it's a safety net. If they're in a job and it's secure, right, I'll just stay here and do what I'm I'm doing rather than invest in a franchise. A bit risky. Plus interest rates are up as well. So if they needed to borrow, so that's another point. So last year, all in all, the recruitment was slow. So we only recruited 2 last year. This year, the early signs are, well, the back end of last year and the first couple of weeks of this year, we've had some more quality leads coming through, not just sort of tire kickers. So we're open for about half a dozen this year, I think.
Wow.
Half a dozen a year is manageable.
So you're going to double in size.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Well, like I said earlier, the hard part is getting the first few on board. Yeah. Once you get to a certain amount,
you just copy paste.
So whenever I get a new inquiry, in the early days, I was saying, right, well, this is what we've done in Warrington, this is what we've done, and this is what we've done. Mm-hmm. Now I can say to them, right, I can tell you how good it is, and I genuinely believe how good it is. I could show you all the figures, but what I'd like you to do now is go and speak to those guys and see what their experience of working with us is. How much money have they made? What did they like? What didn't they like? And then you can make an informed decision.
I love that transparency, though, because that shows how confident you are in the teams that you've helped to build.
Absolutely,
and the franchisees that you've brought in.
Well, I genuinely call every one of my franchisees friends as well. Like, so whenever I go and do a territory visit, of course we're going through the social media, we're going through the figures, we're going through everything else. But then we'll sit and break bread and have a meal together and have a laugh and a joke and talk about things that are nothing to do with market, nothing to do with franchising.
And I know, because we know each other outside of just the online world, I know that you've had quite a tumultuous,
turbulent
2-3 years now.
Yeah.
It's been tough.
Yeah.
And yet you've managed to keep the business going. You've managed to keep it growing.
Yeah.
And when we say tumultuous, your marriage broke down.
Yeah.
And yet you've managed to keep the business afloat. I mean, we're not going to go into details, but there's going to be a lot of people listening that are going through personal struggles outside of business that really can impact how you show up in your business.
Absolutely. So, I've just got, last year I got divorced. So, that's that. And running up to that, it was a very toxic relationship. And, so it ended up in me going back to live at my mum's in a box bedroom at the age of 39, 40, which is, it's not ideal.
No.
You own 2 businesses and you're back in your mum's box bedroom for a short period of time. But, needs must. I think the one thing that I need in my life is the one sort of thing that I need to be doing every day is work. And I think that sort of took my mind away from
having that purpose.
Yeah, but because of the toxicity of the relationship and stuff like that, I was honest with myself. And, you and I had conversations at the time quite a lot as well, didn't we? Some sort of late night phone calls and what would you do in this scenario, Leah, and stuff like that. So I had friends around me, but it was, and men don't sort of tend to admit this, but I decided that I needed to go to therapy. So that's what I did. And I went to different types of therapists as well. I didn't just go to one. So I went to a talking therapist, which was great, got it all off my chest. She then said, look, there's nothing else I can do with the type of therapy that I do. I did I still go to it now every 2 weeks. So I did some alternative Chinese therapy, which is physical. So it's like massage, cupping, fire cupping, acupuncture. And that's all really good as well. And then I think, they're all good for many reasons, but the one that I got the most out of was from a lady called Dawn, and she did EMDR therapy. I don't know whether you've ever heard of that before.
Heard of that, yeah.
So they've got like a rod with a light on the end of it, and you've got to watch it whilst you're talking. There's hypnotherapy involved as well, and then sometimes you'll have like a buzzer in your in each hand, and it'll buzz one and then the other, one and then the other, and then she'll ask you to sort of think about things whilst
it's like
with your eyes closed.
Reprogramming your brain.
It gets it talking to apparently so it gets.
But you found it effective?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I came out of it like a changed person. Like I remember like sort of the last session that when she said, right, this is the last session, but I'm here, and I've been back quite a few times since, but she was like, this is the last session. You can come back whenever you want, but for now. And I was just like sort of burst into tears and gave her a big hug, because it was just like, you've just like, she cured me of everything that was going on. Yeah.
I think, and I don't want to say anything that you wouldn't want public, but you moved from being this sort of solo business owner to this very successful franchisor, which meant that you had more responsibility, this team growing, more money coming in.
Yeah.
Your confidence grew. And also, and you are public about this. This isn't me like doxing you in any way, but you're very public about your autism diagnosis that you had after your children were
and I'm just currently going through ADHD as well, so it turns out that I've got both.
Oh, me too.
So yeah.
Me too. But it's one of those that, and I know this has happened for me, and I know it's happened for very many business owners, is as you start seeing that success in your business life and you start recognizing the things that bring you joy, and the things that don't, that you start outsourcing to other people, you say, okay, I don't need to do that bit myself now. I can give that to somebody else. You start really becoming aware of what in your life is good for you and what's not good for you, how to focus on the things that you enjoy and double down on those, and how to remove the things that you don't enjoy. And it starts bringing that awareness to other areas of your life. As your confidence, your self-worth, your ambition grows, you outgrow people and relationships in your life. That's really common in business ownership. And it's really painful sometimes to let go, even when you know it's the right thing. But would you say that's something that happened within your situation leading up to now? You are this sort of, you're in a healthy, happy relationship now, but...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, you quite rightfully said that in business, if there's somebody who's not serving you any purpose and it just seems like one-way traffic all the time, then you tend to sort of distance yourself away, friends, family. Yeah. I think the problem is when you're married and there's young children involved, that you want to do best by the children. And that's sort of, and they're young and you still want to see them every day. That isn't a reason to sort of stay in a relationship, because the unhappiness and the toxicity then shows to the children, so it's not in the best interest of the children to remain in that relationship. Although selfishly you want to see the children every day and you want to see them grow up, it's not the best environment for them. So when if you're in a toxic relationship and you know about it, then there is life after that. It doesn't seem like it at the time, because you feel like your whole world's about to sort of be turned upside down. But once you've got through that initial sort of few months, 6 months, 12 months, life gets better.
Yeah, you just start, I guess, you adjust to a new kind of normal.
You adjust to a new you, but you get a new lease of life as well, because you feel like, if there's sort of a toxic environment, it's suppressing the other things that could be going on in your life. So by my own admissions, when I was going through all this, I wasn't posting on social media. I just disappeared. I just had no mojo for it whatsoever. I'd get my phone out to post something and I'd just be like, no, not today.
Just not got that energy.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like I had anything to say.
In business, we're sort of conditioned to, social media tells us all the time, we need to be around people that fill us up. We need to be, what is it, you want to be around radiators rather than drains? Something like that. I don't know if I got that right. But you want to be around people that fill you up rather than people that drain your energy. Yeah. And I definitely noticed, as I became more confident in business and the relationships I was choosing to have through business, I really started putting under a microscope other relationships. And I had people that I knew from my past that be like, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And I'm like, why? I don't know you anymore. Our lives have gone in different directions. Am I really going to spend 4 or 5 hours to see you after I haven't seen you for 6-7 years? For what? Because you're not, if I've got an emergency, are you going to come and help me? No. Am I going to do the same for you? No, because I've got other responsibilities now. And I sort of think I'm so much more, it sounds ruthless, but my boundaries are just so much stronger. And I think, well, there's a point in me pouring into relationships that will pour back into me when I need them. But unless that's going to happen, I I'm so much more guarded with my time. I think, well, I'd rather just spend that time with my son than spend 5 hours rekindling a relationship that will disappear again the moment you go home.
Yeah, I think as well, it's not just sort of, it's definitely what you've just said with your sort of your business getting more successful and you're more sort of aware of how much you spend time with different people. But I think it comes with age as well. So when you get to like, you know, I'm nearly 42 now. I'm very careful who I spend my time with, and I don't care what people think about me either. Yeah. I even care less now, whereas 10 years ago, I used to sit there worrying about what people thought about me. And, you know, I said this 5 years ago, wow, you're not even bothered about it now. And I'm sure the closer I get to 50, I'll give less of shit.
I'm facing down 40 this year, and I'm just like, I thought I'd feel a certain way about turning 40. I thought that I would feel like sad or some sort of negative feeling, but I'm actually really excited because I feel like the best version of myself I've ever been, and that's definitely in a huge part down to the lack of fucks I give about what people think about me, and going, I'm in my lane, I'm doing all of the things that I love, I'm avoiding the things I don't love. I've got a kid that I adore who is just the best thing ever, and I'm so excited by life. And I don't know, when I was 20 and I looked at 40-year-olds, I'd be like, oh, life's over.
Yeah, I used to think 40 was old.
I know, and I feel younger now than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
But because I'm excited by the work that I do, and I'm excited by where that's leading and by the people I'm seeing and speaking to on a daily basis. I think
what you do as well is when you get to sort of our age is you tend to stop living in the past. So like, you just let that go. It's happened.
Do you know what? I've never even thought about it like that. Yeah.
Let it go. And there's a lot to be saying for being present, but you always, you know, my mum always says, right, and I'm going fast, mummy's boy. My mum always
says, nothing wrong with mummy's boy.
My mum always says, never look back, always look forward. And it's so true. Because that's already changed. You can't change that.
I think there's definitely value in looking at the journey that you've been on.
Oh, absolutely.
Looking at the past and going, you know, these are mistakes, I'm not going to repeat those, and having that value, but focusing on the next few steps. And I'm not one to really look too far in the future. I'm always thinking about, you know, the next week or the next couple of weeks, not the next 6 months, the next 5 years. I don't have a 10-year plan. There's definitely value in having that, and for people that are much more strategic. But I'm very much well, I don't know if I'm still going to be here in 10 years, so let's worry about next week first. There's not stress about
bus tomorrow.
Oh, the way I cross the road, I'm so inattentive. It's a wonder it hasn't happened already. I've had a few near misses this week. I should stop texting when I'm walking. Iain, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. And I think franchising's not a thing that I've heard people talking about, and I think there's definite value. People should be following your content on socials if they want to learn about it, because you do talk about franchising quite a lot.
So I've been making some fun videos recently.
Your videos are great. I mean,
got some
the ones that get banned on LinkedIn are always my favourite.
Well, you were in that one, I think, weren't you?
Was I?
You appeared in that one. So. Yeah, I've been making some fun content recently, and I've got more coming up as well. We've got some filming days. So one of my franchisees did a marquee for EastEnders. And he's got to put it back up in February, so I'm going down there with a film crew.
Oh my God, how exciting.
Yeah, so that's quite cool. Yeah,
so you're going to get some cool content on the set for that one.
Yeah. So
that's
loads
so
of good
exciting.
things coming up. Yeah,
I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in the next 6 months for you, because if you're literally going to double in size, the business double in size.
Let's go.
You keep shrinking.
Let's go. Yeah.
You've shrunk since I last saw you. No, the arms are bigger actually, but the waist is smaller. You can tell you're happier because of how much time you're spending actually investing in yourself and feeling good and looking good by default, like as a result of that.
Yeah, that's it. Just eat well. I do a lot of training. But that's just because of the community that I've sort of surrounded myself with. All my friends are into, we're doing marathons and these high rocks events and stuff like that. So, but they're just my friends, and we do that for fun. And it's it's better than going to the pub and drinking and all the other.
I don't drink anymore either.
I don't.
No, giving it all up.
But
I just hugs and a cup of tea with this one in the
scared of hangovers.
I hate hangovers. The older I get, do you know, that's something. I was on somebody else's podcast, the A Game podcast, and they were talking about not drinking, and I thought, do you know what, I'm not really a drinker. Like, I don't drink very often, but whenever I do, I feel rotten absolutely rotten the next day. Even if it's just like 1 or 2 glasses of wine, I feel awful for the whole next day. And I'm past the point in my life where I want to give any time to feeling that way anymore.
No.
I'm not making sober my new like personality.
Yeah, if I see you with a glass of wine, I'll be like, you said on the podcast.
But it's not my personality, but I also, and going back to us talking about the ADHD and autism diagnosis, I realised, and we had this conversation years ago, that I socialise when I'm drinking. But when I'm not drinking, I am the most awkward person trying to socialise with people I don't know. And I want to learn how to not be that way now.
Yeah, I think when you've got autism and ADHD, you use it as a masking tool and you end up absolutely hammered when everyone else is just having a few drinks. I was like that.
Yeah, I don't really go to that extent, but it just gives me that social lubricant so I don't feel so conscious of every awkward thing that I'm doing. I need to learn how to just embrace being awkward and not feel awkward about my awkwardness. I'm just awkward. That's okay. And that's who I'm going to be when I go out and socialise. And I just have to learn to be okay with that rather than drinking a couple of glasses of wine so I can cope with the situation.
It's so much better waking up in the morning, isn't it? And being able to function. So, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I still need a coffee in the morning to be able to function. I don't think I'm ever going to get over that.
3 Alka-Seltzers.
No, it's vitamin D and a nootropics coffee usually to get my brain going. Ian, it's been so lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much for coming on. And we will actually get together socially again soon, hopefully.
Yes, we will. We will. Thank you.
Supporting small business owners is my biggest passion, and that's what my membership community, the HoLT, is all about. Inside the HoLT are more than 150 masterclasses from experts in every business skill you could ever want, and we add more every single month. There are also sales clinics, tech clinics, wellbeing support and advice, and discounts on a huge range of software and services. But it's so much more than just trainings and resources. Everyone inside the HoLT shares their years of knowledge and experience generously, with kindness and without judgment. They're super active, the chat channels are buzzing, and it's like having 600 business cheerleaders in your pocket, willing you to succeed and helping you wherever they can. And we offer all of this and much more at an extremely low price, because we know that budgets are tight when you're bootstrapping a business. The HoLT is a kind, inclusive and non-judgmental place where everyone knows that working together is the fastest way to succeed. And it makes it a whole lot more fun. We would love for you to join us. You can check out the full details on the-holt.com. Or if communities aren't really your vibe and you just want access to the hundreds of expert masterclass recordings with a combined value of more than £10,000, you can access the Vault right now for just £20 per month. The Vault is all the masterclasses with none of the chat or distractions, just pure value. Visit the-holt.com/vault to sign up and start binging your way through brilliant trainings from leading experts.